Credit to him. I know he's been through a tough time as well in his private life, and I think you see a team that has complete clarity on every single phase of the game and every single action they do, in possession, out possession, and he's fantastic. I mean, what a coach. And you can see the players as well, how much they care for him, how much they want to play for him.
He has a lot of that great man management about him, Luis Enrique, isn't he? And the way that he brings modern things into the game and tries new things with his players.
But you know what? He was a brilliant player, and he understands the makeup of the dressing room. He understands that you can't carry any players in the Champions League. The players are too good. And now that they work as a team, they're so much more effective, PSG, and they're actually fun to watch. They've captured the hearts of Paris fans, captured the hearts of French fans, and even the neutrals. I think they're a good watch, PSG, and credit the manager. It all starts with the manager. We've seen that, and he's got a brilliant group of players that work so hard.
Arsenal and Mikel Arteta especially was criticised slightly for tactics in parts of the season and in the first leg perhaps. What did you think of the way that you approached the game tonight, Martin?
Yeah, I was calling for that. I'd seen a lot of the footage. I think the first 20 minutes in the first tie, they gave us a bit of a lesson, and he learned from that tonight. He made sure he pressed really high. Declan Rice being able to do that in midfield. Partey was giving that assurance, although it was a part of the goal that we conceded. Of course, the ball was headed back into an area where they punished us. But all in all, I think the tactics were perfect. Again, you saw the manager learning from the first game. It was just in that final third where you needed a box in the box. Somebody who was going to really hurt them. And there were times when, when they were counter-attacking us, they had real pace, but we didn't have the same weapons to hurt them with. And I think that's where the change will come. Big recruitment will come in the summer.
Yeah, I think when you think about tactically, you think about the goals they conceded. So one's a set play where someone maybe switches off, gives a poor header, and then the second one, someone gives the ball away and you get hurt on transition. So I agree. I think tactically it was okay, and there's just them small little moments of quality where you were lacking.
Right, we get a chance to see all the goals, and when we come back, get some analysis on those, and also hopefully hear from a few of these players and maybe the manager as well. So do stay with us. I mean, there is loads more football to tell you about on TNT Sport that we desperately want you to watch with us because it's brilliant. Okay, here it is, the conclusion exactly how this happened, because one thing that is quite interesting about this game is this is the most amount of shots, 20, that PSG have conceded at home in all competitions all season, and that is so impressive and perhaps says something about the way that Arsenal went after this game, Jack. Yeah,
I think that's credit to them. It's clear what type of game they wanted. They wanted to be on the front foot, they wanted to be aggressive from the start, but you can see with all them shots and only 4, maybe 5 on target, that's the finishing quality. At this level you need it.
You're an Arsenal fan watching at home, Martin. Are you proud of the way they went after it? Are you frustrated with the way they approached the game? What do you think?
I think both, really. I don't think they would have been surprised, some of the fans, because in front of goal it's been tricky. Obviously since February, where you've lost Havertz. Jesus was already injured. I think it was a gallant performance tonight. Definitely can be proud of that, but it's about being more clinical in front of goal. And that's either that's another player, or they find another way to score goals. But tonight, that's an area where we were sadly lacking, really, when it really came down to it.
There were so many chances so early on. They'll look at that back and think, oh my goodness, if only one of those had gone in, it could have changed the complex of the whole game.
You're right, Laura. You just need one to fall your way. And obviously they don't have that striker, and Kai Havertz done a brilliant job filling in there. But if you think about when the moments came for PSG, they won them. Donnarumma made big saves, and I thought Arsenal, credit Mikel, he had a game plan at the beginning of the game. Long balls, crosses, throw-ins, and they actually dominated the game, but they needed a goal to show for it, Laura. Against the run of play, PSG got a goal, and then I think that changed the momentum of the game. But before the game, I said to Mikel about second balls. It's such a little thing, but you know what? In this game, it adds up. The first goal is the second ball, header from Partey, you win the second one, and the second goal is the same. So, and again, it feels like a little thing. It's a poor heading from Partey. He's got to head it back. But that second ball, you've got to win that, Laura, in your box. And then you allow a player like Ruiz there who takes a touch. It's just these moments add up, Jack, in the game, and I just thought they went against Arsenal today.
Yeah, he's out of position, Martinelli, and he's recognised it a little bit too late, and then he can't slow down. Ruiz is a good player, he's recognised it. He wants to get on his strong foot, and then he gets a little bit of luck, but he's made that.
How difficult for Raya as well, such a big deflection, as you're saying, off the back of Saliba.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the goalkeeper was beat anyway. I know he gets a deflection, but that's hitting the back of the net. It's a remarkable. It was really patient as well from Ruiz. He lets it run across his body. Martinelli's a little bit naive. He's trying to get across, but the header really kills everyone. He's got to head that out front of the corner and reset.
Talking about second balls, you mentioned it as well for the second goal. Jack, why don't you talk us through this one for Hakimi?
Yeah, this is what we're talking about half-time. That pass there, you don't have to make that pass. That's what they want. They want you to pass it inside, and now look at them. start to run. They've got players that can carry the ball like that and give time for other players to get in the box. And then they have quality in these areas. Partey maybe can be a little bit more aware of that situation. But then, yeah, it all comes from Arsenal making a mistake they didn't have to make.
But you know what, one thing I would say, Laura, the two fullbacks, the two best in the competition. Hakimi's got 3 goals, 5 assists in this competition. Mendes has got 4 and 2. That means you're getting 14 goals and assists from your fullbacks with a world-class goalkeeper and a world-class front three and a balance in midfield. So this PSG team is proper, and I think they showed it today.
Hakimi, I mean, more touches than any other player. He's scoring again, 3 shots on target. You know, it's incredible. He's a right back, and he's got more touches than anybody else on the pitch. It just says it all.
Picked up man of the match tonight as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why the first goal for Arsenal was so important, because then it became a game where PSG could wait for their moments. And when you're chasing a goal and you become a little bit more expansive and your distances become big, then when you're playing against good players, they're going to hurt you. And unfortunately, they did that.
Martin, the Arsenal goal did come eventually from Saka. Would you like to take us through this? Because at this point in the game, you're thinking, wow, they got enough time.
Well, I mean, to be honest, fair play to Trossard, because he keeps going. You know, Marquinhos just dives, and the referee plays on, which we didn't see a lot of in the first tie, if I'm honest. And then they get a little bit lucky, but I didn't think there was a foul. I thought he dived, and he puts that ball into the danger. It's a lucky deflection, but then fair play to Saka, keeps going. And really, I mean, it's the only way to beat this goalkeeper when he's actually, look, he hits the deck, and he's out of the way of it, and then he can just roll it in. And then you wondered then, that second chance came, didn't it, shortly after that? And if he could have put that away, we might have had a different tie.
Credit as well to the subs, because for this chance that you're going to see in a second as well, Saka's next chance that he didn't manage to put in the back of the net, it was both of the subs that came off the bench to create those.
But you know what as well, I think it was really tricky against Mendes because he's such a brilliant defender. When Saka came inside, he was brilliant, and he created a couple of massive moments. This one maybe just takes his eye off it. Maybe Donnarumma puts him off, but tackle it, head it, let it hit anywhere. That needs to go in. If that goes in, Laura, wow, what a finish we're going to have. But it just didn't go their way in the big moments which they needed to.
What did you think watching that, Martin?
Yeah, it was painful. It was painful, and it will hurt Saka, and he won't be sleeping for 2 or 3 nights. But, you know, I think he can be proud of what he offered tonight. He was causing major problems for Mendes early booking. We didn't see a lot of him in an attacking sense tonight because of Saka on the pitch.
I know, Jack, like, they won't be feeling it now, and there's always a question to say, what do they learn from getting this far in the competition? And, you know, will they come back stronger next season? But do you think genuinely Arsenal as a team are getting closer and closer to something?
Yeah, I do, and I know that the fans and the people at home will be frustrated with this, and probably frustrated with me saying it, but I do, and it is another step, and of course, like where we were, I mean, there was probably 4 or 5 years where we didn't qualify for the Champions League, and that was really tough. And Mikel came in, and you know, he had to build something from almost from the start, and get rid of players and bring some players in. And I think, as I said before, when you look at PSG is probably a good example. They haven't won it in ages, and it feels like it's probably their time now. And as frustrating it is for us Arsenal fans, it's unfortunately we're probably going to have to go through that process.
They can't do it for too long or keep doing it like this, because they don't want to become the nearly team that always misses out. Second place in the Premier League again and again, semi-finals of Champions League. I mean, some teams would bite your hand off for that, but do they need more?
I think it's a bit unfair on Arsenal. I still think they're a young team. I think they're developing. I think they progressed from last year when they went out against Bayern. I think they've improved dramatically this year. They're missing 2 of their best players, Kai Havertz and Gabriel, and they need a striker. So if you look at the depth of the other semi-finalists, they got way more depth and opportunity to rotate players. I think Arsenal, Jack made a great point, how hard it was for City and PSG to win this Champions League. It's hard. There's a lot of great teams with bigger budgets than Arsenal. But this summer, you'd love to see the club going back, Mikel, and bring in a striker, or maybe bring in another one. Because I think goal-scoring wise, I think they're 19 less than Liverpool. That's a big difference. They're this close, but they need to invest to get the players to help them make that final step.
Yeah. Okay, let's get some reaction with a PSG fan. Jules is speaking with Reshmin Chowdhury now.
Laura, thank you. Yeah, he is our French football expert, but he is a PSG superfan. And do you know what? I can confirm, you didn't actually breathe up in the gantry where we were watching until Hakimi scored. How do you feel now? Deep breath.
Better. I could not even sit down, to be fair. I had to stand up the whole game. It was tough because Arsenal made it tough for PSG. And we said before the game, all of us, that there was not much between the two teams. It was fine margin in the first leg, same in the second leg. Maybe Arsenal lose this tie in the first 15 minutes at the Emirates and in the first minutes tonight, because there could have been 2-0 up today, really.
Yeah.
And I think this is those moments that the boys were talking about as well, where you have to take your chance. And if you let it go, then you get punished.
But you didn't get punished. You didn't let it go. You are through to the final. Tell me, what does it mean for this club? It's the second final now, isn't it? The last one was behind closed doors in 2020, and of course you didn't win it. But you're there now. How much does this mean for this group of players and for this club that's waited so long for something like this?
It's always been the Holy Grail, really. Even back in the 90s when David Ginola, who's here for French television, was playing, they came close twice and 2 semi-finals in a row, but never got over the line. And then there was that final, you're right, in 2020. Behind closed doors, where it's the Mbappe and Neymar team, the variety team, and Thomas Tuchel on the bench, and Bayern with maybe just a little bit too clinical for PSG. We're still learning. This is a different story. It's a different team. It's a young team. It's Luis Enrique's team. It's his birthday tomorrow. He's 55. 10 years ago he won it with Barcelona, and maybe this is the year, but still, you saw today how they were rattled. Same at Villa Park, and they will face the oldest team, the most experienced team is this competition in Inter Milan, and it won't be easy, but I think they all believe that this could be their year. And
this is the thing, I mean, you mentioned Luis Enrique, he won the treble. PSG are on for a treble this season.
They are. Which, for such a young team, really, today the average age is 24.7. You know, Dembele, well, apart from Dembele and Marquinhos, really, the others are below the age of 26. So for them to win the league, this is a given. The French Cup final is May 24th, but the big one will be this one at the end of the month.
Now you got to tell me, can you win it?
Yeah, of course. I think over one game, this team is so good that they can beat anybody. But I think they will have to learn a lot from what happened tonight, and then they will fancy their chances, because they should. They've been probably in 2025 the best team in Europe.
Well, the journey ends here tonight. What are your initial thoughts after that?
Well, first of all, congratulate PSG for reaching the final. The assessment, I will make it when I'm a little bit cooler, but the feedback that I got straight away from their bench is that we were much better than them. When you look at the 2 games, who has been their best player on the pitch, has been their goalkeeper. He's made a difference for them in the tie, and I think we were very close, much closer than our results showed, but unfortunately we are out. I'm very proud of the players, what we've done today, the way we started, how we handled the pressure, the amount of pressure. After 20 minutes it should be 3-0. But there is something extra that you need in the competition to go your way, and it didn't.
Are you proud of the fact that it's the second season in the Champions League, quarter-finals, semi-finals? What ultimately might get you over the line potentially next season?
I'm upset, and we should not be. Yeah, we were very close. Yes, for long periods of both games we were much better than them. But we are not there, and that has to hurt. And if we want to win this competition and go there, we need to realize that. And there are certain things that are on us. And you shouldn't be just understanding that we are out. It's not the way I look at it.
Are you happy, or have you seen enough progress with your team this season?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think there's been a better team in the competition so far, what I've seen. But we are out tonight. We deserve much more, I think, in both games. But this competition is about the boxes, and in the boxes there are normally the strikers most of the time and a goalkeeper, and he was the best player in both games.
Ultimately, what do you want to do over the summer to make changes or add to get further?
I'm so proud of the boys, and what they deserve a lot of credit for what they're doing in the context and the situation, and with the amount of injuries. We have arrived here probably in the worst state that you can arrive as a team. You have to get here with everybody fit, available, with a lot of minutes, with rest, like they had a week. We come here in a completely different context and still do that. So that gives me a lot of positivity for the future. But tonight I'm very upset.
And Mikel, thank you for talking to us anyway.
And it'll sting for a while. Martin, he talks about the progression that they've made, that he's happy with that. Where do you stand on Arsenal's progression?
Well, to be honest, I agree with a lot what the manager said there tonight about being proud with the group. There was a lot of pressure on them those first 15 minutes. They really took the game to their opponent, just weren't clinical enough. That's where they failed, really. But I think the journey that they're on, I think he's putting the pieces together in this jigsaw piece. It's a long, winding road. It's not a straight path to success. And I know what that feels like. And he's talked before this game tonight about the hurt, anger, and using it as energy into tonight's game. They did that. And that's what they're going to have to build upon for next season. I was in an Arsenal team that went 3 seasons second best to Manchester United. Disappointments in major cup finals. Okay, this is almost like a cup final here. They've got to bounce back and make sure that they build from there. It's a foundation to build from now, but obviously recruitment is key to that. You know, we look at this team here tonight, that they bought Kvaratskhelia in January for £80 million, and they made a statement, and look how important he's been to them. So, you know, I think Arsenal got caught on the hop a little bit with the injuries that they had, but I think they've done well with the players he's at his disposal. I think they've gone a hell of a long way in this tournament.
What was it you think took your team over the line?
Belief. This won't happen to us again. It can't happen. The hurt. We'll find a way to be successful, and we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to go and do that. But you have to stick together right now. You know, it's about tying down these players, the likes of Saliba, keep him at the football club. This is the back four that Arsenal have got. Okay, Gabriel not available. Some of the best defenders in Europe. So it's a look at the positives. Declan Rice been going from strength to strength. You know, it's certain areas of the pitch. It's not massive jobs here to put the icing on the cake for Arsenal to be successful.
Jack, you praised how good a coach Mikel Arteta is, and knowing him from playing and also his time in coaching, and you learning a little bit and being inspired by him. But has he had enough support in terms of the hierarchy above him, giving him the right players or giving him the right sort of budget for it?
Well, we've definitely spent some money. Maybe we could have spent more. I think a big thing is the injuries, honestly, Laura. And I know people will say, oh, that's an excuse. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. Owen mentioned earlier about Milan having the possibility to make changes. Barcelona brought on Lewandowski off the bench to try and find something. So, of course, it makes a difference. They have to find a way to be able to keep these players fit for the whole season and be able to make them compete. I see a lot of similarities with what Martin's saying with his team. And you know, I played in a team that was, for years and years, was questioned of lack of leadership, and probably rightly so. And we didn't have the leaders in Martin's group, and we probably didn't have the leaders that this group has now. And I think that's how the answer to your question before, how they bounce back, is they need them leaders. They need to make sure that this hurts, and they understand what they did wrong, and they try and make it better next year.
One of those leaders in the team is obviously Declan Rice. Let's get some reaction, because Becky Ives is speaking to him now.
Dec, simply, do you have the words right now?
Yeah, look, it's gutting. Such a dominant start. You know, if you score one of them chances, probably in the first 15, 20 minutes, the game completely changes on his head. And then just the small margins in football, you know, 2 mistakes from us, 2 goals for them, and obviously with the chances we'd missed, it just felt like it wasn't meant to be. You know, we give it absolutely everything. In this competition, you're either in or you're out, and over the 2 legs, we could have scored some. Well, 3 or 4 goals, to be honest with you, but Donnarumma's been unbelievable, and you got to look at the small margins. It just obviously wasn't meant to be.
Quarter-finals last year, semi-finals this year. Next year, what does get this over the line?
Yeah, look, in life, in general, I think sometimes you have to lose a few in order to win, and you have to overcome some of these setbacks to mentally grow and grow as a person and as a player and as a group. And I think we're going through that stage at the minute after a few losses in terms of losing out in the league, coming close in the Champions League back-to-back years. So look, we're growing as a team, as people, but we need to keep pushing and keep believing. You know, this is why we play this sport. There's going to be setbacks along the way. PSG have obviously gone through tonight. We're absolutely gutted, but this isn't going to define us for sure. You know, we're going to be back, and when we get our players back, they've been out for a very long time. We're going to be a much stronger outfit, so we've got to keep going.
Do you think ultimately not having the full squad when you get to this point in a competition is actually a bit of a game changer?
Yeah, it's tough. We've done the whole season without 5 or 6 of our best players, and to be where we are and to do what we've done has been unbelievable. Fully stand by that. In the end, you know, the group of players that have gone out there have given it absolutely everything. The whole squad has, even the players that flew over with us tonight that have been injured, every staff member. And everyone fully believed, and I think you could see that from the first whistle, how much we believed we could win and go out there and put on a performance. And like you said, on another night, we maybe scored 2 or 3 tonight. It was just that first 20 minutes where they score. We obviously had them chances where we didn't score. It was a real kick in the teeth. So, yeah, we'll assess it. We'll be back. And 3 games left. It's been a really long season. We really, really wanted this one. But yeah, we'll keep pushing, because this is why we play this sport. You know, we want to win and we want to do the best we can.
For you and that dressing room, you're in it every day. What's it like coming up so close each season and just not quite nailing that trophy, which is what ultimately everybody wants?
Yeah, we're all desperate for it. You know, that's why we play football. That's why we play this game. You know, we want to win trophies. We want to be at the pinnacle of football, winning stuff. But like I said, obviously, for whatever reason, these last 2 years in the cup competitions in the Premier League, it hasn't been meant to be. You know, we've been really, really close. It's obviously not good enough because Arsenal are a club that deserve to be winning trophies and deserve to be pushing. And there's not a lot more we can really be doing. But like I said, sometimes in life you have to go through these small losses in order to win big, and that's what a lot of these big superstars have done in the past. You know, they've all suffered defeats to then come out on top, and I'm sure this group will, because it hurts. You see the boys in there, you see the manager. Yeah, it's tough. It's a semi-final. We wanted to be in Munich, and it's obviously not meant to be, but it doesn't define us, like I said, and we'll be back for sure.
Deck, thank you.
Good on Deck coming out and speaking. It must be very, very difficult straight after a game like that and to experience the highs and lows of the last two legs and actually the road that they've taken to get here, Owen. I mean, you've been part of teams twice that have gone on and won this. It is so difficult to even get to the final of the Champions League, and obviously only the best of the best can actually do it and go and win. What painful will it be, and how quickly do they need to bounce back as a team?
It will be painful, but they're young, you know, and you got to think Declan, you know, after being at West Ham and coming here, we had, in all the teams I played in, we had a lot of experienced players, really experienced players that had been there and done it. Deck would have been one of the youngest, so I think they need to add maybe players that have been there in these games, like you look at Inter have, that PSG have, you look at Marquinhos. Arsenal are so close to being one of the best teams all about, Premier League and Champions League, but they just need a bit more squad depth and a bit of players that have been there and done it. Like Mikel came to this Arsenal team and helped the young lads out, like Jack. I think they need that, and then they can take that final step.
Marquinhos is a good example, isn't he? He's been on the end of some massive disappointments, and in the end he gets to cheer, he gets to celebrate, and he maybe gets to win a Champions League. As I say, that pathway to success, sometimes a long, winding path, and it is right now for these Arsenal players.
Be a long way home as well for the fans that managed to come out here, get themselves a ticket and support their team, and it was important obviously that they did. They're getting used to this disappointment as well, but as you said earlier on, Jack, there was a long period of time where Arsenal didn't have a sniff at any kind of Champions League action.
Yeah, and I got on the Eurostar this morning, and there was loads and loads of Arsenal fans. We were talking, we were chatting, and they were all so positive about this team and how far we've come, and of course they were desperate just to take that last step. But as the guys are saying, it's a long journey, and yeah, they're right. Like if you're not going to go and buy players that have been there, the other way to do it is go through it and experience the failure and then come back stronger. And I agree with Owen. I think a little bit of experience will help this group. It definitely helped me, and yeah, I think they need that a little bit.